Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from Wormed entitled Omegon. Omegon feels more accurate, but Omegon is funnier. So I might go with that. I don't know. Let's flip a coin. Alright, if it's heads, Omegon. If it's tails, Omegon. Let's go. It went under the couch. I can't really see it or reach it from where I'm sitting, and I don't feel like getting up or moving a bunch of crap around, so a little do-over. Hey! Heads. That means it's Omegon. Wow. Omegon is the fourth full-length studio album and the first in nearly 8 years from this Spanish technical death metal crew. What took them so long? I've no earthly fucking clue. I can't answer that question. I don't know them personally. I don't really know Wormed all that well at all, frankly. What I can tell you, though, is that Loudwire.com, in an article from 2020, considered Wormed the best Spanish metal band ever, period. So that's kind of cool for Wormed, I guess. That's neat. And I can also tell you that thematically, conceptually, storyline-wise, this album is the sequel of sorts to 2016's Krigsu. It continues the story of that album, the story of the character of that same name. As a press release writes, they continue the story of Krigsu, a timeline hacker entangled in manipulation by cosmic forces. Krigsu battles his way to unlock the mysteries of Omegon, a mysterious cosmic substance holding ultimate power. I mean, sure, it's pretty standard sci-fi gobbledygook, but whatever, it gives the record a little bit of extra height and weight and scale and meaning, you know? It's got a little bit more urgency and drive, I suppose, as a result of this story, of this concept. Perhaps most importantly, though, Wormed are playing some incredibly aggressive and intense and meticulously crafted sci-fi technical death metal. With a lot of wild guitar-bass interplay, some really funky, jagged and obtuse arrangements and progressions, gurgling, menacing vocals, and a lot of cosmic, spacey elements often in the forefront of the sound alongside everything else. That said, though, this isn't as flashy or as over-the-top as something I might expect from, like, Obscura or some kind of, like, Sumerian Records, Unique Leaders kind of, like, sci-fi, spacey, tech death metal band. This has more in common musically with something from Artificial Brain or Gigan or even a band like Origin. And even its more bare-bones production, too, with heavier emphasis on these, like, consuming guttural vocals and these really slammy percussive bits. Even that kind of reminds me more so of, like, a late 90s, early 2000s brutal death metal record that just happens to be more expansive and intelligent than your standard brutal death metal record. You've got the opening cut, Automaton Virtuologue, which is filled with these anxious sprawls and these battering rhythms and all these weird time signatures and switches and transitions. Like, I kind of feel like I'm being thrown around on like a sci-fi tech death metal wooden roller coaster of sorts. Like, there's so many twists and so many turns and so many bumps and crevices. I'm enjoying it, though. Like, I don't feel like this is random or difficult to follow, you know? It's got a lot of energy, it's got a lot of momentum. Lots of great technical drum fills all throughout, towering walls of dissonant and discordant noise, and I love how it balances everything. Like, there's actually pretty great flow from section to section. Then there's Paradelia Robotica, which has a really grim and uneasy feel and tone to it, thanks to some really menacing guttural vocals, which are later emboldened by some weird sci-fi effects and filters and such. Dissonant tones and kind of offbeat melodies do a great job at putting you in this really weird kind of position where it just feels like I'm being very slowly pulled through the cosmos, and on top of that you have these churning grooves and these gnarly little beat downs here and there to give things a little bit of extra spice and kick. Then there's Pleioverse Omninertia, which very interestingly builds upon a foundation of unorthodox progressions and rhythms and grooves. Once again, I feel like I'm being tossed around quite a bit. Definitely a much more rabid sci-fi metal wooden roller coaster than before. but Wormed are still in control of things. Like, the roller coaster ain't flying off the rails anytime soon. Tons of chunky grooves and hyper-technical guitar pyrotechnics here. I like some of the trancey, subtle, atmospheric elements and textures that pop up near the middle and into the latter half of the song as well. The percussion here is amazing, unhinged and erratic with a somewhat jazzy feel and flow at times. It's like a little bit of Pyron, a little bit of Gorguts, a little bit of, dare I even say, like Blood Incantation, all kind of mixed and mashed together. Aetheretic transdimensionalization leans the furthest into like full-blown brutal death metal influence, especially again in the percussion department. You have some slower, really punishing, kind of like beat-downy grooves and transitions here, and some super pummeling ballistic assaults. But like simultaneous to that, some more hyper-technical, churning, grinding riffs here. Around the 3-minute, 45-second mark especially, you have this super chunky, chugging kind of assault with these like consuming guttural vocals. It really feels like early Meshuggah going in like a brutal death metal kind of direction. The closing number and title track, Omegon, as well, does a great job at introducing some harsher, noisier, atmospheric, ambient elements and textures, and combined with a few more simplistic, kind of anxious guitar leads and the typical tech death, brutal death metal savagery, it kind of just gives the feel of like being swallowed into like a black hole. And I gotta say too, despite operating essentially as an interlude on the album, despite only being 2 minutes long, Malignant Nexus is cram-packed and goes hella hard. Like basically all of the different ideas and elements that we've talked about on all of these songs all kind of like smushed together, like vacuum sealed into this one song. I do think that the album would benefit from having more range and dynamics in the vocal department, but overall it's a very powerful, menacing performance that works pretty well, and there are some effects and filters here and there that do add a little bit more to kind of make things a little weirder and wilder. Special shout out to my guy, my goat, Colin Marston as well, working behind the scenes on this bad boy. There's almost nothing that he does that isn't awesome, and this album is no exception. The fact that there's so much going on, the fact that there are so many layers in this big, over-the-top sci-fi story, and nothing feels overwhelming or over-the-top, everything is extremely well produced and presented, that's an extreme accomplishment in and of itself. I'm feeling a solid hearty 4 to 5 on this record. I think it is great, a very exciting, fun, epic, dark, sci-fi, tech death metal blast that fans of tech death will no doubt enjoy. I don't know enough about Wormed to comment on whether or not this is their best or worst album yet, or their most ambitious album yet, or whatever the fuck, but I will tell you, if their other records are even half as good as this, then I'm definitely going to have to check them out. I'm definitely going to have to pay more attention to Wormed in the future. I don't really have much more to say, so this feels like a good place to wrap this up. 4 to 5, great album, check it out, holy shit, hell yeah. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. Come say hello on Discord. Pick up some merch on Redbubble. Look, more videos. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.